Hey guys, what's up? It's me. Um, so I know this is a bit untraditional, the fact that I'm talking into a camera, not gaming at all, but still wearing the headset, and that is because I currently don't have a very good laptop internal mic. I mean, it is a great laptop, I'm not complaining, but I just used it enough that it started to get staticky a bit, and I didn't really want to push that. So I figured I would just wear the headset and, you know, yeah. So today I am here talking about one of my great achievements, um, which is my first app in Android Studio. Before we actually get into the video, I do want to talk about how I found sort of my passion for coding. Um, I've been coding since I was in about the fourth grade. Essentially, I started out doing like the hour of code stuff. And I started out doing the hour of code stuff. I would do it like once a year, and I wasn't very into it. And then when I was in around third grade, I got a Toshiba laptop and started taking Code Academy courses. I took one on how to develop a website using like CSS or HTML or one of those. And I would do those and enjoy them. Then I would get out of the habit of doing it. In like fourth or fifth grade, I started a little bit again. Or in fourth grade, I started doing First Lego League, which is Lego robotics, and you use the Lego Mindstorms coding software to program your robot. And then after that, I went into FTC. And you have multiple options there. You have the stuff that FTC gives you, which is either a block-based software or on-bot Java and Android Studio. So Android Studio is what I designed this app in, and I'll get into more about what that is later. But, yeah, so I never really found my passion for coding until, like, now. I was always I was always the programming person on my first Lego League team. And there was a lot of catching up I had to do on my FTC team, but I managed to do it, and I'm not the head programmer, but I'm on the programming team and doing very well on the programming team. So, yeah. So, my first app is an app called FTC Skystone Scoring. So, if you haven't gone and watched the FTC Skystone challenge video, I will put a link in the description. It is awesome. It is the challenge I've been competing in this year for my first year of FTC, and yeah. So why did I choose to do an FTC scoring app? So I chose to use FTC because A, I'm part of an FTC team, and as part of coding this app, I get to understand the scoring a lot better, and I also get to do things like understand. Sorry, guys. Dinner. Um, anyway, the variable types are the main reason I did this. There's various different things, so if you haven't watched the video yet, go watch it. Um, but there's a scoring element of during autonomous, you can move the platform into the square or into the triangle, and you get 15 points. Now that is a true false, but then in Autonomous, you can carry over 2 blocks. You can either carry over a Skystone, which is worth 1 block, which is worth 10 points, or a normal stone, which is worth 2. And it could also just be useful to my teammates and to other teams if I can get it published on the Google Play Store, which I probably can't. So, what is Android Studio? See? Told you I'd get to this later. Android Studio is a program made by Android to create apps and programs and games for the Android operating system. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to Content Main. Now, this is what the Content Main looks like. So, I don't have it open, and I didn't screenshot it because it's literally the exact same thing as this. There's an Activity Main, not to be confused with Main Activity. Activity Main is a layout and is what you see when you first open up the app. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So, see, it is what you see when you first open up the app. Now, some of you are probably wondering how I got the teal. First of all, that is Android default. Second of all, I'm using a Google Pixel as a test phone. I can update you guys when I put it on a not Google Pixel phone that is not the standard 16:9 format. So, the menu. So, as you guys can see, at least I think you can, it's super tiny for me, but I think it's bigger for you. As you guys can see, this is what the menu looks like. So, it doesn't actually show you the submenu, but under Actions Colors, there's another menu that has a bunch of color options. And that looks like this. See, there's a bunch of color options. So now, say I hit orange, it turns orange. And ignore the input values. So, let me explain the input values because I didn't put them in later on in the presentation. So, where it says number of blocks is... So, the top 4 are autonomous, the next 4 are driver controlled. I'm trying to separate them better. I just haven't gotten the chance, so I'm pretty much done this app, but not all of the way done. So I will show you guys the code for how this is done later, but essentially it calculates, okay, 0 blocks, okay, 2 Skystones, so it times the amount put into that times how much a Skystone is worth, and it spits that back out down there, also adding the 2, the 10, and the 5. Again, I'll explain how all that works later. And what would happen if the switch was on is it would say, is robot parked in zone? True. Add certain number of points to this thing, to this value, and then add this value to total score. Again, I'll explain all that later. So, theme defining. So this is the styles.xml document. Essentially, this is where you define all of the themes. Now, if you look at it, I only have it set with the black and blue themes. But just imagine that with all the other colors. So, this is where you define all of the colors. Now, all of these are under the resources files. Now, if you notice, it's asking for the type of resource, so color, then the name of it, color primary dark, color accent, color primary blue dark, color accent blue. So on and so on with each of the color themes. And I had white in there, I just never used it. Then it asks for the color code. If you don't know what a color code is, go Google it. You should know what it is. And then it closes out the resource. So how do we set this theme? So over here is the themesetter.java class. Now, what themesetter.java is themesetter.java is a Java class that has a public static int theme number. So why does it have that? Because here we are saying, so here's the code for the menu. So this is on options selected, menu item, and then it returns a boolean. And it says return when item.id, and then you put a case. So it's r.id.actionColors, true. r.id.blueColor. Theme number is equal to 1. And then you recreate to reset the activity to set the theme. And so on and so on. You guys can take a look at it real quick. Green is 3, yellow is 4. The default one is 0. Again, more of it. And then up here is where the setting of the theme happens. Now, set theme's already defined, and I'm not going to go into how I used that. But it's essentially saying if theme number is equal to 0, set theme teal theme, which is the default. Else if theme number is 1, set blue theme, so on and so on. And then also in the screenshot we have the onCreate function, but I will explain that later. So, the reason why themesetter.java even exists is that I was putting the score setter up at the top here. There should be a circle on your screen. I was putting it up at the top here, so it was automatically setting theme number to 0, so when you changed it, it wouldn't have any effect. So I had to get it into an external source, and for purposes of organization, I put it in Theme Center. So now, score calculator. So this is the program where this all happens. So as you can see here, I'm defining things like regular blocks autonomous, Skystone autonomous, driver control blocks, tallest tower final, platform autonomous score, park on tape score, so on and so on, capping score, capping bonus, total score. Total score is important. Now, here is where all of the math is done. So if you take a look here, there's regular blocks autonomous score is equal to regular blocks autonomous times 2. The regular blocks in autonomous are worth 2. And Skystone score is worth Skystone autonomous score times 10. Because Skystones are worth 10 points. Now the total score here is int total score. We define that back here. So now total score, we are initiating it to 0, and then we're saying total score is equal to platform autonomous score plus regular block score plus Skystone autonomous score plus park on tape score. Essentially all of the scores that you see here. And it's adding them up and spitting them back out into the text view. So here is the main activity, not activity main. Main activity. So here is essentially where all of the imports happen. And yes, I've already showed you some of the parts of this, but I'm going to just go through all of it again because it's easier to do that way. So here is where we import all of the packages and define the package. The stuff that is gray and underlined is stuff that I didn't use. But you can see how that is all done. com.example.ftc scoring.r.style is importing the style resources, which is what makes it possible to set the theme. Here's the theme setter stuff. So also in this shot is the onCreate. Now it's saying super.onCreate, and then you put a saved instance state. Then set content view r.layout.activity main, so it's setting the content view to essentially content main. Then after that, it's saying set support action toolbar. Then we have the refresh button, which is the update score. So it's saying val refresh button is equal to find view by ID app compact button r.update score or r.id.update score, and it's saying refresh button dot set on click listener, and it's telling it when it feels a click update score. We'll get into what the update score function is later on. So now we have go back settings, which does not matter because I'm not talking about it. Now on start, it's saying super.onStart, and then it's updating the score to set it to the initial value of 0. Now on create options menu is essentially just inflating the menu. That's what makes it appear. On create options menu, yeah, just went through that. Here is the on options selected stuff. We already went through that. So function restart is never used. It's essentially the same thing as recreate, but it's essentially saying this intent is equal to main activity class.java, this .start activity intent, finish epiphany, then on save instant state, and it's essentially restoring that instant state. Now, update score. So at the top, we have val number of blocks auto, and we're defining it as a type string. And if you notice, what we're setting it to is number of blocks autonomous.text.toString. Now it's a text. Why would you need to do .toString? Well, you need to do .toString because of this reason. It is not as simple as the text input where we're putting the numbers are is a string or an int. It is actually an editable because it doesn't know what kind of input type it is. You can define input type in the UI editor, but that doesn't change the type of variable it is. That just changes what kind of keyboard pops up on this. Now, it's saying .toString, and then down here we have the logic for the switches. So if platform is in the triangle for autonomous, it says if is platform in is checked is true, then platform autonomous score equals 10, else 0. Else is essentially if it's false. It's just a quicker way of doing two if-else statements. So that's the same for the other ones, just with values. I want to point out the is capstone on tower. So capping bonus is equal to tallest tower final. Yeah. So this is how we deal with the number of blocks picked up and driver controlled. It's essentially saying if number of blocks DC, again, that's the thing we create at the top to define it to the input.text.toString. So it's saying if number of blocks DC is equal to string 0, then blocks driver controlled is equal to 0. Else if number of blocks DC is equal to string 1, blocks driver control equals 2. And you go on and do that literally till 50. And then you do the exact same thing for tallest tower. Now the last slide I have for you is this. Now this is the logic I put in. So you can only have 2 blocks in autonomous. So if Skystone autonomous dot regular blocks plus regular blocks autonomous is greater than 2, total score dot text is equal to, or total score text dot text is equal to error. 2 blocks cannot be scored during autonomous. Now total score text is the text view that is setting the view, not setting the view, that is setting the text of what the total score is. And the other two essentially do the same thing. With the tallest tower, you can't have a tower less than 2 blocks tall. So that's essentially saying if tallest tower is equal to 1, or if tallest tower is equal to 0, then total score.text is equal to error cannot have a stack less than 2 tall. The last logic loop that I'm going to explain to you guys today is if tallest tower final, so that's the final score, is greater than blocks driver controlled. Essentially, you can't have a tower taller than the amount of blocks you have on the platform. So it's checking for that, and then it's saying the text of total score text is equal to error cannot have a tower taller than the amount of blocks on platform. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Please subscribe, check out my TikTok, and all of that stuff. Catch you later. Bye.